On a cloudy afternoon in 1944, an American bomber crew heard a sound they had never heard before. It wasn't the deep rumble of a propeller. It wasn't flak. It was a high, rising scream, like metal tearing the sky itself. Seconds later, a blur shot past their windows, too fast to track, too strange to understand. One of the gunners yelled, "What was that?" They had just seen the future. That scream in the clouds came from a secret World War II jet engine that would change every warplane for the next 80 years. And today, whether it's a stealth fighter, a cruise missile, or even the jet that takes you on holiday, they all carry the DNA of that wartime invention. This is the story of the WW2 jet engine that changed modern military aviation.
At the start of World War II, the sky was ruled by propeller aircraft. Spitfires, Messerschmitts, Mustangs. Beautiful machines, but all driven by the same idea. A piston engine spins a propeller, and the propeller pushes air back to pull the plane forward. For years, engineers squeezed more and more power out of this design. Bigger engines, better fuel, sleeker airframes. But hidden in the numbers was a problem. They were bumping into the limits of propeller flight. Push a propeller too fast, and its tips approach the speed of sound. The air around them becomes wild, unstable. Drag explodes. Efficiency dies. Pilots could dive fast, but sustaining high speeds in level flight was hard and dangerous. Mashed up into one simple question, engineers kept asking, if we want to go much faster, do we need a completely different kind of engine? In secret workshops on both sides of the war, a few bold designers quietly answered, yes. They began sketching machines without propellers at all.
The idea behind a jet engine sounds almost too simple. Instead of spinning a big propeller, pull air straight through the engine. First, a compressor squeezes the air. Then fuel is injected and burned, making the air expand violently. That hot, high-pressure gas rushes out the back at high speed, and when gas is forced backwards, the aircraft is pushed forwards. No props, no spinning blades outside, just a smooth tube of controlled explosion. During World War II, German engineers pushed hard in this direction. So did British engineers working on their own jet prototypes. In our story, we focus on one machine like many others of its time, a squat, heavy fighter built around a pair of experimental jet engines. When test pilots first climbed into it, they were nervous. The engine spool-up felt odd. There was a lag between throttle and thrust. Fuel consumption was brutal. Early engines overheated, suffered from failures, even caught fire. But then, on one clear test flight, the pilot pushed the throttle forward, waited for the whine to rise, and the aircraft simply left the old world behind. No propeller vibration, no spinning blades outside. Just a smooth tube of controlled explosion. The airspeed needle climbed beyond what most fighters could ever hold. This was something new. The jet had arrived.
By the final years of the war, Allied pilots began running into small numbers of these jet-powered fighters. On paper, they were terrifying. They could climb faster, accelerate harder, and run away at speeds propeller planes simply couldn't match for long. Bomber crews reported strange attacks, a blur that appeared behind them, fired, and then vanished ahead before their guns could swing around. Fighter pilots chasing jets felt like they were stuck in slow motion. One pilot later said facing them was like trying to catch a bullet with a bicycle. But there was a twist. The jets were fast, but they were also fragile. Their engines wore out quickly. They guzzled precious fuel. They were difficult to maintain, and they were few in number. In many ways, these wartime jets were like dangerous prototypes thrown into battle. They did not win the war, but they did something that would change every war after. They proved in real combat that the future of military aviation was jet-powered. When the war ended in 1945, the guns went silent, but the jet story didn't. Allied teams moved quickly to capture aircraft, engines, and most importantly, documents and engineers. Test pilots flew seized jet fighters, taking notes on performance and handling. Engineers tore apart the engines, studied the compressor blades, the fuel systems, the high-temperature alloys. Meanwhile, British designers continued developing their own jet engine concepts. American teams did the same. So did the Soviets. The question was no longer, should we build jets? It was, how can we build jets that are reliable enough to fly every day, fast enough to beat our rivals, and powerful enough to carry weapons into a new kind of war? Out of these efforts came the first generation of post-war jet fighters, sleek interceptors built to climb fast and shoot down bombers. Test aircraft pushing into and beyond the sound barrier, and eventually multi-role fighters that could fire missiles, drop guided bombs, and fight at altitudes where prop planes never dared to roam. All of them owed a quiet debt to that noisy, unreliable, but revolutionary World War II jet engine.
As the Cold War deepened, jet engines evolved rapidly. Engineers added afterburners, injecting extra fuel into the exhaust for bursts of massive thrust, perfect for takeoff from short runways or last-second combat maneuvers. They refined compressor stages, invented better heat-resistant materials, and shaped exhaust nozzles to handle supersonic flows. The result? Fighters that could race at twice the speed of sound, climb to extreme altitudes, and fire missiles many miles away. Modern aircraft like stealth fighters, heavy bombers, and even long-range drones still rely on derivatives of that same idea. Suck in air, squeeze it, burn fuel, throw it out the back faster than the plane is moving. Every time a jet roars off a carrier deck, every time a patrol fighter scrambles at short notice, you are watching a direct descendant of the WT-2 jet engine take flight. And the impact didn't stop at the military. The same principles that powered those early war jets were refined, smoothed, and adapted to the world of civil aviation. Over time, huge turbofan engines replaced simple turbojets. They became more efficient, quieter, and safe enough to fly millions of passengers every year. Today, when a commercial airliner lifts off the runway and settles into a smooth, high-speed cruise across continents, it is riding on technology born in a world of blackouts, raids, and secret hangars. The skies over peaceful cities hum with the echoes of wartime innovation.
So the next time you hear a jet overhead, whether it's a fighter on patrol or a passenger plane heading west, remember this. There was a time when that sound was terrifyingly new. When a bomber crew looked out of the window and saw a shape they couldn't understand flash past at impossible speed. In that moment, they were witnessing the end of one era of aviation and the birth of another. World War II jet engines did not win the war by themselves. They were late, rushed, sometimes unreliable. But they changed everything that came after. They forced every major power to rethink air combat. They rewrote the design books.
They turned the sky from a battlefield of spinning props into a playground for machines that ride on pure, controlled fire. The uniforms have changed, the flags have changed, the conflicts have changed. But deep inside the core of every modern jet engine, from stealth fighters to long-haul transports, there is still a trace of that first strange scream in the clouds of 1944. The sound of an idea too powerful to stay on the drawing board. The W-2 jet engine that changed modern military aviation.